hold on there. Don't think I've seen you around. That means you must be new to Stellar Bay. You are new here, right? I knew it. See, I made what you'd call a logical deduction. You must have seen those UDL gunships on your way in. There's only 3 of them these days. Still, they tend to scare folk off. Wish more folk could say that. Gets awful quiet guarding a landing pad that never gets used. You may not have heard, you being new, but Stellar Bay hardly ever gets off-road traffic, us being cut off by the board and all. Which means I never get to do this part, but I've been practicing, so here goes. On behalf of Monarch Stellar Industries, welcome to Stellar Bay, home of the freshest sal tuna in Halcyon. Please state your name for the records. Swell. There's one for the logs. I'm even gonna give you your own entry code. I'm not supposed to do that. It's against procedure, but Mr. Sanjar isn't so strict about the rules here. Besides, I got a lot of empty entries to fill. Mr. Sanjar will be mighty pleased to meet you. If you see him over at headquarters, maybe you could tell him I did a bang-up job of welcoming you? Oh, and if you're headed that way, maybe you could do me a favor? I got this Rizzo's Rangers tossball poster coming in on the next sublight shipment, signed by the Black Hole himself. Only I haven't heard anything in a while. You think you could check with Celia to see if it's come in? I couldn't really say, I'm just a fan of the game. But the fancy collector types say the more people see these things, the less valuable they are. And I figure my poster's been passed around by more than a few people by now. Thanks a bunch! Celia works for Mr. Sanjar in the MSI building next to the bar. She's always there, so you can't miss her.
And the little bastard's slippery, right? On account of its blood, so it's sliding all over the place, trying to crawl away. Getting so I can't tell the blood from the mud. Don't interrupt, it's rude. But I gotta get in there, get right in that baby rap's stomach and dig it out. If so much as a drop of stomach acid got on that medallion, shit, I don't know what I'd do. Might be I'd hunt every damn Rapt out there. Right. What are you staring? Wait. You ain't from around here. Who are you? Ooh, charmer. Don't get a lot of that around here. Folks mostly grump at me about how I should join the MSI payroll. Nice change of pace. Buy me a drink, will you? Outstanding! What are you doing in Stellar Bay, stranger? Well. Let's get down to brass nuts then, shall we? Wait, that ain't it. Brass rats? Let's talk business. I'm headed back out there after I sober up. You want a guide sooner than that? You have to get me something to clear my head. Outstanding! Our dispensary here maintains a stock of, well, I don't rightly know what they are. Steroid or caffeine somethings? Pills. They're very good. I'm cut off for the month, on account of needing one just about every damn day. But I'm sure you've got your wily ways. Fetch me one and we'll be all set. Well, they work. We got a deal or what?
Well, well. Isn't often we see new folk in Stellar Bay. First drink's on me, stranger. Enjoy. If you plan on sitting through Nyoka's stories, you might could use a few.
I could use a few and telling them myself.
Now what can I do for you? Anyone who spends any amount of time in this bar is bound to get to know Nyoka, on account of her being here so often herself. And I don't mean that unkindly. Anyone who's rid us of as many beasts as you have is entitled to a few drinks. Something else I can do for you? Not since Amber Heights. These days we have more leaving than coming. Off to join the Iconoclasts or some such. Bunch of marauders broke into the executive compound, slaughtered everyone. Corporations pulled out of Monarch not long after. I thought everyone knew. But then that was 10 years ago. Still feels fresh to us every time we look at our walls, though. But it had a fancy ring to it. Name's the first advertising anyone sees, after all. Nope. But a man can dream.
Velma seem out of sorts to you?
She's always cranky.
If Velma's capable of running the warehouse, she can certainly pick up her own caffeinoid.
Don't be so hard on her. With Brax missing, she's working doubles and needs a little edge.
Very well, dearie. But you stop by anytime you like, hmm?
Thanks, I'll keep that in mind.
Hello, dearie. Why, I don't believe I've seen you before. And with sweet cheeks like those, I'd remember. What can Auntie Abigail do for you? Bless your little heart, you must mean caffeinoid. If it's pep you need, one pill does the deed. Now, dearie, who's this pickup for? I'm so sorry, but with the iconoclasts and the marauder filth chasing away what little trade we get, I'm afraid I have to reserve my supply for Stellar Bay residents. Our reserves have gotten so low, I've even had to start locking the supply room upstairs. Isn't it a shame what some people will do to get a little extra? Isn't it just? I'd make an exception for you if I could, my little cherub. Is there anyone else needing a special pickup from Auntie Abigail? Aren't you a saucy thing? I may not be a fresh young thing anymore, but with age comes experience, dearie. You are too precious. How about you just tell me who that caffeinoid's for, dearie? Now, there's no keeping secrets from Auntie Abigail. I'll tease it out of you one way or another. Also, I really do have to enter someone's name for the allotment. After all, I have to keep track of where our little pills wander off to. Now, dearie, it is my job after all. Oh, her. It's none of my business, but I have told her Dr. Williams would bump up her monthly allotment if only she'd join MSI. Contribute like the rest of us. Now I've gone and said too much. And you know me, dearie. I don't like to pry. I'm afraid not. Dr. Williams managed the town's allotments from his terminal upstairs. Even I can't access them. Well, this certainly isn't worth my good health. I'll get you a dose, but I'll have you know, I'm very disappointed in you. There, and good riddance. That's the last help you're getting from Abigail Edwards.
Ah, the charmer. Welcome back. Drink, chat, or business? All of the above? More or less dangerous than a steady supply of alcohol. Give it here. Whew, that hits the spot. Right in the, oh, no, there it is. There it is. Yes. We're in business. Let's go. Great. Where to? Oh, Hiram? I ain't checked in on that man in an age. He's running the giant radio tower we lovingly call Devil's Peak. We'll be going south and west, mostly along the road till we're past Fallbrook. Out there, there's a western slope that'll lead us through some fun. You like hunting, right? That's fun. If you're more of a spelunker, Rotting River will take you into the mountain caverns. We can discuss options when we get closer. That said, 3's already a crowd. I don't mind waiting somewhere until you got a spot open.
I hope you like being part of our crew, Nyoka. We're real excited to have you.
A ship? Well, look at you. I'll find a spot there to call my own for now. Find me when you're ready.
Some crew members are causing a disturbance on the ship.
What are the chances of all the times and places we could have been born?
Yeah.
We're here.
You're probably looking for Velma. Watch out.
Look, you can tell Catherine the new shipment will be ready when it's ready, all right? She's welcome to come up here and pack boxes herself if she's in such a hurry. Did she now? Well, I can see I was mistaken. Because if Catherine really had sent you, there'd be a lot more expletives in your message. I hope you can forgive my temper. This job has been running me ragged lately. First, my autoloader foreman stages a walkout, and now my chief pescatological health manager is missing. That's what Braxton is. He's our fish doctor. He's a real wizard with pharmaceuticals, but he has creative notions of working hours. Comes with living in a free colony, I guess. I would if I weren't busy here picking up his slack. Since you don't seem to be constrained yourself, maybe you could check up on him. He lives in the apartments. Tell him Velma said to get his lazy ass down here, or she might start noticing those extra jugs he's been taking from supply. Something else on your mind? Caleb Herrick runs the autoloader operators. He thinks I don't pay them enough for flipping switches and turning dials.
So the job's easy, but you're not doing it? Something smells here. I mean, everything smells in here, but something's fishy. Wait.
He and his whole crew walked out. Say they won't come back unless I pay them more. You mind slapping him around a little while you're at it? I'm joking. Mostly. Unless you can do it without hurting his job performance. If you can find a way to get him back to work, I'll make it worth your while. Check the yacht club. He's usually there. Unless you're here to tell me he's agreed to do his job again, I've got nothing to say. I don't have the bits for it, plain and simple. Besides, if I make an exception for him, I gotta do the same for everyone. Hard workers? They turn dials and flip switches. The machines do all the actual work.
I'll wager she don't pay those folks that maintain the mechanicals decent neither.
Caleb and his crew have it better than anyone else around here, I'll tell you that much. If Caleb wants to keep this job, he'd better get back to it. I'm about ready to hire sublight contractors at this rate. Maybe so, but I bet you Caleb runs out of bits first. Then he'll have to come back. He says he's got a stash to tide his crew over. Could be he's all talk, but if the money's real, I bet you he keeps it at home. Near the diner.
You'd steal from your own people? That's low, ma'am.
That's business. Someone's got to keep the lights on. For running me ragged while he takes an extended leave at the bar? Not on your life. Fine by me. Stealing's such a nasty word. Let's call it skimming. And yeah, let's just say I've noticed the sterile biotics we use for the fish would get used a little faster on Braxton's shifts. We're not like those corporate towns where you get fined for sleeping on the wrong side of the bed. Besides, the Spacer's Choice stuff we use is cheap enough. And Braxton knows how to get the salt tuna, fat and mostly tumor-free. Sublight boss out of Fallbrook. Handles most goods that come in or out of Stellar Bay. Has a mouth like a Ground Six spacer.
Smells like rat in here. Oh, it does work. I bought some musk from Sebastian to cover up the saltuna smell.
Trust me, this is worse.
Ooh, you're the new face. Wow, you must be up on all the latest tossball games. So who do you follow? Wait, don't tell me. You look like a Hammersmith Thunder fan. No, Glacial Age Mammoths. I'd heard they'd gotten a new hacker. Is that why everyone's making such a fuss about you? But what are you doing on Monarch? That's for sure. Just mind you, don't let them hit you back. So, what can I do for you? Graham's always filling the airwaves with his propaganda. Like it's done him any good. All it means is the tossball games get to us in fragments. Makes them real hard to watch.
They'll never see us.
Good day to you.
Whoa, by the stars, my poor heart. I just about pissed my jumpsuit. Get a grip, he says. As if I haven't survived this place for 10 years. This town is enough to try anyone's nerves. Where should I begin? With the oversized mantisaurs? Or perhaps the rap spewing acid at our walls? The board was right. This place isn't fit for human habitation. And I was a fool for staying. Sanjar, of course. He had all these glorious ideas about how he'd run Monarch. Rest periods between every work shift. No shift more than 10 hours long.
You company folk are all the same. Choose to stay, then complain about the choice you've made.
How was I supposed to know it'd turn out like this? It all sounds wonderful, until you realize there's only a few centimeters of repurposed steel between you and the deadliest creatures in the galaxy. I could do with a few kilometers of cold vacuum, but that spaceship is flown. Only every day. But in case you haven't noticed, we don't exactly get ships on a regular basis, yours notwithstanding. And even if I did scrape together enough to buy passage out with sublight, which would mean reaching Fallbrook without getting eaten, shot, or dissolved into green goop, what then? Well, thank you for reminding me. As if I weren't already destined for an early grave. Nothing. That's what. Because MSI is not in what you'd call good standing with the board. So even if I could get out of here, no one's gonna hire me. Even talking about it has my blood pressure up. I've really gotta stop. Lucky you.
Good day to you.
Easy.
I think I'm gonna be sick. I clean the apartments while everyone's at work. I've seen all sorts of messes, but this... If you're going into the apartments, do not go into the lower one on the right. That's where the body is. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go contemplate a hot shower.
Sorry. Just spooked me, was all.
Even Stellar Bay ain't safe these days. What's the world coming to?
Whatever you do, don't mention Tossball.
You trying to get us all in trouble? What do you think you're doing? Do what you want, I guess.
Sir, please, Oh, thank you for stopping. Everyone acts like nothing's wrong, like my little boy isn't at risk of being eaten by some vile creature. Please, you have to help me get my little Tucker back. He ran away and is going to get himself killed. Oh, I just know a Raptidon is melting him with acid as we speak. Don't you tell me to calm down. I promised my boy I'd protect him for always. But how can I keep him safe if he's run away? He ran out into the wilderness a few days ago. I warned him about the Raptidons, Mantisaurs, and Marauders, the toxic sulfur pools and poisonous plants, but he didn't listen.
Oh, law, Captain. A youngster won't last long in a place like this. Please, can't we help?
You ain't wrong, but if he hasn't made it to Amber Heights by now, there's no saving him.
Please, won't you go and find my boy? Well, I guess I can't ask you to leave the town walls for free. It is deathly dangerous out there. I've got some bits saved up for a rainy day. I'll give you every last one if you just bring my Tucker back to me. I won't even be mad at him running off. You tell him I won't be mad. He's been pining for an adventure. Says he's tired of living cooped up behind the walls. But he doesn't understand how dangerous it is out there. I warned him. A Raptidon would snap him up first chance it got. I just know one's ripped his arm off and is gnawing on his sweet little fingers. He should have listened to his mama. I promised I'd keep him safe here with me. He's been listening to those awful broadcasts that the Iconoclasts put out. I begged Sanjar to put a stop to them, but did he? No! And now I just know my boy's run off to Amber Heights. That is, if a Mantiqueen hasn't spooled out and eaten his entrails for breakfast already.
If a queen got to him, he died quick. Ought to be thankful for that. Most aren't so lucky.
Oh, where's my fainting chair? I can't take this! Those low-life degenerates, leading innocent boys into a life of danger. Oh, they make it sound so exciting, like it's noble to risk it all out there, fighting for the greater good. How noble is it to worry your loved ones? Not at all, I say. But still they preach their sermons of anarchy and rebellion to anyone who'll listen. If they weren't holed up in Amber Heights, I'd knock them all upside the head. That old settlement, southwest of Stellar Bay. I don't know which is worse, the thought of my son shacking up with the nutty iconoclasts, or that he never made it. Sprats could be nesting in his rotting body alongside the road as we speak. Or maybe Marauders got him, pulled all his teeth out, crushed him into their drugs, and made him snort them. Oh, the things that could happen to my sweet baby. Thank you. Oh, I know he'll be safe now that someone's able to fetch him home. You look for him in Amber Heights, you hear? It's down the road southwest of town. I'm sure he made it that far. I just know it. And if you find any of them iconoclasts indoctrinating my boy, you punch them in the mouths. Tell them what I think of them luring little boys away from their mamas. It's immoral.
Wrapped Mask and Canid Eyes, right here. Hello, stranger. Can I interest you in a Raptidon tongue? Or maybe some canid toenails? You look like a man who's looking for some mostly fresh animal parts?
Sebastian, you ever get your hands on those pheromone sacs? Manipillars ain't gonna hunt themselves, you know.
I must have hunted a dozen, but I couldn't find a single sack on any of them. Must be looking in the wrong place.
Manipillars ain't got pheromone sacs. I just told him that so he'd stop asking me for advice.
At least I'm getting a good haul of claws in the process. You're in good hands, traveling with Monarch's top merc. Still, if you want any rat glands or manticlaws, I've got you covered. I don't know. Celia usually buys whatever I have, and Mr. Pickett seemed real interested. So I thought maybe I was onto something.
Mr. Pickett? Franklin Pickett from Edgewater?
That's him. He'd been here years, but he always talked about going back to Edgewater one day.
Sure. Mr. Pickett used to run the community center outside Edgewater. He had this grand idea to make it a museum for halcyon life. As my dad told it, Mr. Pickett was always going on about getting a Mantiqueen for the last display. He left the Vale, gosh, years ago.
He came to Stellar Bay years ago, just before the board cut us off. Ended up stuck here. He was always real interested in our monsters. Mantiqueens, especially.
I kept telling him he was a fool for chasing Mantiqueen tail. Anyone looking to get familiar with a queen is liable to become the bitch's supper.
Oh my. Well, I hope he's all right. Haven't seen him in a while. Sure, they're real big. Hard to miss him. Well, I could send you to the same place I sent Mr. Pickett, but I haven't seen him in a few weeks. To tell true, I'm starting to get a bit worried about him.
Captain, can we look for him? I'd feel awful if somebody from home was in trouble and we didn't do nothing.
Tell you what, I'll tell you where I sent Mr. Pickett if you promise to look for him. Help him out if he's got himself in trouble. Fair deal?
Thanks, Captain.
All right then. Leave town through the southern gate, the one right here, and head past the abandoned ruins.
Past the ruins? That's Manta territory, all right. My professional opinion is that we leave that idiot to his well-deserved fate. No offense.
Last Mantiqueen I saw was in the wilds out that-a-ways. Could be Mr. Pickett still out there, too. Oh, good. Celia hasn't come by in a few days, so I haven't sold much.
You ever been off Monarch, Nyoka? Before you met the captain, I mean.
Nah, I mostly just drank and hunted. As soon as you stop to dream of other things, that'll be the day something sneaks up and eats you.
Don't fret. I'm watching your back now. Anything tries to eat us, I'll give it a mighty whack on the nose.
If it isn't the famous hacker, enjoying Stellar Bay. What can I do for you? Poor Isaac. I was wondering why I hadn't seen him in a few days. I'd really like to help. Isaac was a sweet fellow, even if he did have terrible teeth. They were pretty distinct. Monarch doesn't exactly have a thriving dental industry, and Isaac seemed to get stuck in all sorts of bad habits, dietary and otherwise. Sometimes he'd drink Purpleberry Punch by the liter, other times he'd keep betting on a losing team, started owing the wrong people money. Ain't that the truth? But Elijah and his buddies are mean, and they'd been pushing Isaac around. They're hooligans from Fallbrook. They sweep into town, drop supplies off behind the warehouse, and spend the rest of their stay getting rowdy over tossball games. They usually loiter in the alley behind the yacht club. They're not allowed in the bar anymore. I bet you anything Isaac ran into trouble with one of them. Mr. Sanjar will be pleased to hear about it when you're done. I know he gets fed up with the Fallbrook bullies, but there's not much he can do.
I wonder sometimes what they're doing on other colonies.
Uh-huh.
Think they're watching the same serials, following the same tossball games?
Mm-hmm.
You're not listening to a word, are you?
Who the fuck are you? This ain't your alley.
Hey! What are you doing here? This is our secret alley. Berta already pissed by those crates to market. Listen, that purple-toothed twerp had it coming. Not that anyone has proof. And not that it's any of your business.
Here they come!
Covering you!
Did you have a sweetheart in Stellar Bay?
I had a fling or two, sure. But on Monarch, relationships ain't usually meant to last. A lot of fools tried to impress me, feigning bravado in the wilds, thinking they'd catch my attention with their stories. It was cute. Not so cute when their act got themselves munched. You know what's sexy? Confidence. You know what ain't? Disembowelment. You make it look so easy.
New face, huh? You from Offworld? A ship captain? Well, I'll be. Here, let me buy you a drink. Consider it an MSI welcome. Why don't you grab a chair, sit a spell and revel with us?
By the smell, he's been reveling enough for you both already.
Me and my friends have taken our destiny into our own hands. We're untethered, free of responsibility and worldly cares. Well, as long as we don't run out of bits. But until the windfall's gone, we're riding high. See, we just walked out on our work. Had enough, we did. So now we're striking. It ain't any one thing but the sum of it all, having to work longer shifts for less bits. And the wages we do earn don't cover as much as they used to. Our supervisor Velma goes on and on about quarterly profits and meeting quotas. But that ain't what Sanjar promised us. Velma refuses to negotiate, so we're refusing to work. We won't go back until she agrees to pay us fair and proper. Us on Monarch, we're free from the board, you know? We have the right to lobby for better hours and pay. Sure thing. What did you want to discuss? I never meant to call for anyone's head on a pike. Velma's not my favorite person, but she ain't been cruel to us. Devil it all. Now you got me feeling sorry for her. Fine. I guess we'll go back to work to save Velma's job. We'll find a better time to negotiate our wages. Tell Velma not to worry. We'll look out for her.
against regulation. What do you think you're doing? Just don't make any trouble for me, okay?
I'd give you a friendlier welcome, but I'm up to my elbows in salt tuna guts.
Who spat in your spirits, Velma?
You noticed my mood? I'm surprised you can see straight today.
I could be seeing triple and I'd still think you're being unkind. I just might find it funnier.
Will you try wrangling half a ton of dead fish with decades-old equipment and see what it does for your disposition? Anyway, what do you folks need? You knocked any sense into him yet? Well, that's awful nice of him. Sure wouldn't have expected that. Thanks for your help. You've gotten me out of a tight spot here. Take this for your efforts. Honest work deserves honest pay. Something else on your mind? Stealing such a nasty... And yeah. We're not like those corporate towns where you get fined for sleeping on the wrong side of the bed. Besides, the Spacer's Choice stuff we use is cheap enough. And Braxton knows how to get the salt tuna, fat, and mostly tumor-free.
Velma seem out of sorts to you?
So you keep Monarch safe, huh? That's real honorable work, Miss Nyoka.
Oh, no. Monarch ain't safe, even with me around. I've just got intimate knowledge of its dangers and an abundance of fortitude. Folks hire me because I know what you can shoot and what you ought to run from. That's a mistake you only get to make once. Can we talk? Good old Stellar Bay. Only place on the planet that don't stink of sulfur. Wanna come? Right. Here's the road. Follow it south.
Everyone all right?
Careful. Only things you'll find in the ruins are... Libations on me, folks!
A visitor? What an unexpected surprise! Please, come in. Come in.
I'm getting real bad fight or flight right now. Watch your step. People ain't this friendly outside city walls.
The Edgewater deserters were perfectly nice, and they lived outside the city walls. Well, maybe not Adelaide, but everyone else.
That's the spirit. Now come in. Make yourselves comfortable. Excellent. You've arrived at just the right time. My wife is putting the finishing touches on dinner. Please, make yourself at home until it's ready.
Something ain't right about this.
Oh, hello there. You come for dinner? That's nice. We had someone else over a week ago or yesterday. I forget.
Now, there's no call for being rude, Captain. Maybe he's just having a hard day. You don't know.
You got a funny way of putting things. I used to be good with words. But it feels like there's this fog. Sorry, have we talked about this before? Can we talk more after dinner? I usually feel better after dinner.
What a pleasant surprise. And just when I was beginning to fear we'd seen the last of good company for a spell. Yet the Eternal provides, does it not? The Eternal does not desire that we huddle and hide, crowded in by walls. We all share the spark of the divine, and we were made to spread it across the stars. Out here, we are free, and even apart from society, the universe provides for us, as your being here proves. Just that your presence here is a gift to us, and one that we don't take for granted. Look at me, prattling on as if this gravy is going to cook itself. Why don't you run along until we are ready for dinner?
Oh, hi there. Did you come to bring us more of those rocket candies? That's wonderful. There was this other man who used to bring them. Not anymore, though. He said they were making us sick. Mom and Papa got real mad at him for that. They went to have a talk with him. Afterwards, they said he wasn't coming back again. Mama and Papa said he came from the city. When we got sick one time, he brought those candies to make us well again. And they worked. Now we feel better than ever. Mama says they're a gift from the Eternal. Okay. Maybe I'll see you at dinner.
We wouldn't want to intrude.
What are you doing in my room? Liar! You're trying to steal the last of my rocket candies, aren't you? The ones that come in a bottle with a rocket ship on it. Like the other man used to bring.
No. They sulfur-sodden assholes. Ain't enough that the raps eat everyone? Now people are doing it too?
But what's this? You're tracking blood into the kitchen. Oh dear. You've been nosy, haven't you?
Quickly, my dear. He's getting agitated. We can't let the meat spoil.
Don't worry. We'll make this quick.
How many others do you suppose they killed?
They deserve to die so clean.
Feels like the old bits outside of Edgewater. Used up, unneeded, left to settle into ruin.
Don't bother knocking on any doors. If anyone's inside, they're liable to respond with gunfire.
Ooh. Smells like those old Sundays when we'd unload sold tuna shipments at the camp.
You'll get... What was it like in Edgewater? I hear you workers were on the clock every available moment.
We always got 8 hours a day for sleeping. Just not always consecutive.
My condolences. I appreciate consistent wages like any other sane person, but that still sounds awful. At least Sanjar gives his folks week.
I'd give you a friendlier welcome, but I'm up to my elbows in salt tuna guts.
Gosh, this old girl's in a rough way. Even old Bess in Edgewater was in better shape than this.
Hey, you want to try running a cannery with obsolete machinery? You be my guest.
Sorry, ma'am, I wasn't trying to be rude. It's just, your flanging apparatus isn't making a strong flange, so your sealer isn't sealing right, and...
Oh, I see what you're saying. Huh. I'll have to try that. Anyway, what do you folks need? That he's got his load on and I'm stuck covering his shift? That's... Wow. I sure feel like an ass now. Yeah, I wouldn't wish that on Catherine herself. Still, it's good to know what happened to him. And that I ought to start looking for a replacement. Something else on your mind?
Could I get another advance, Mr. Nandi?
Just make sure it's properly logged.
I'll note it next to the others, sir. Greetings, and welcome to Monarch Stellar Industries, producers and purveyors of the finest salt tuna in Halcyon. What can I do for you today?
Or is he not paying you on account of how he tried to fix the thing his own self and busted it even worse, and then said you wasn't fixing it fast enough, so he's docking your wages again? Not that I got any prior experience with such.
Not at all. Mr. Nandi treats us all right and pays us well. I just spent most of my paycheck on Raptidon acid. $20 bottles worth adds up, that's for sure. You'd think Sebastian would give me a discount as much as I buy from him. Oh, I don't mind. I usually buy things one at a time. Gives me more chances to talk to him.
I reckon she's got a little bit of a squish on this fella.
He's sort of the strong, silent type. Unfortunately, my apartment's kind of filling up with his stuff, and some of the neighbors are complaining about the smell. Would you? I'd appreciate that so much. Maybe don't tell him I wanted you to ask. Just that you met this really nice lady named Celia, and she seemed... Oh, Mr. Nandi's doing that thing where he breathes through his nose real slowly. I'd better get back to work. He doesn't talk much, but he's got this quiet intensity, you know? Like there's stuff going on inside his head that you have no idea about. Kind of like you, actually. Plus, he's got great legs. It's hard to find a man who doesn't skimp on lower body exercises. You think that's what I'm looking for? You're funny. Not in Stellar Bay. Everyone else who isn't taken either smells like salt tuna or they're my boss. Besides, a man with a good smile and a proportionate upper to lower body ratio isn't something to pass up.
Sorry, sometimes I get carried away.
Well, new business turns up at last. Celia, didn't I tell you our new statistics-based advertising model would be a hit?
That you did, sir.
How can yield improvements of 26.7% not quicken the pulse? How can 32% cost savings not moisten the loins?
You've often posed these very questions.
Clear my schedule. This newcomer has a meeting with me. And a sense of humor, too. Did you hear that, Celia?
I heard it, sir.
But I'm sure you didn't come here to trade witticisms, No, you're here for business. What a charming notion. One doesn't meet many free spirits in Halcyon. Not outside Tartarus prison, anyway. Forgive me, I'd be positively enraptured. Only, I take it this means you aren't here for Saltuna. Now, there's no need to humor me. I'm used to this particular letdown.
Seems like you're having a rough time, Mr. Sanjar. Are you doing quite all right?
Oh, don't worry on my account. This is merely the latest in a long line of professional erotic and athletic disappointments. I had hoped that livening up our advertisements with enticing figures would draw the other corporations back to our bosom, but it seems we're back to the drawing board. Thanks to the so-called hazard clause, Monarch has been cut off from the board's resources and protection for 10 years now.
So-called is right. We've got our hazards, but we're still here, damn it. The board took off without so much as a thought for the folks left behind.
I don't... Dang it, Captain, that's not right. Folks on Monarch shouldn't have to suffer just because the board says so.
Now, we've kept ourselves in business by trading with individual corporations, but given the off-the-books nature of those transactions, such arrangements are precarious. Yes, freedom is a tempting ideal, but a rather costly paramour.
Well, Mr. Nandi here has a rather ingenious plan to get MSI restored to the board.
On our terms, mind you.
But will that help the people here, Mr. Sanjar? Keep them fed and safe?
That's precisely what I'm trying to do.
And if our advertising scheme hasn't borne fruit, then perhaps it's time we took matters into our own hands.
It's true, our Celia is an alarmingly competent middle manager. At any other company, she'd be wasted in data entry. The plan she refers to is a two-pronged approach, and the first part involves seeing Stellar Bay properly defended. With a Bolt 52 cartridge, of course. If you can get us what we need to rejoin the board, starting the Bolt 52, we'll be able to become one of the most productive and secure cities in Halcyon.
And you'll have a powerful ally on the board.
Why, one of the strongest defenses in Halcyon. An extremely powerful ordnance. In the old arms building southwest of town, which used to be part of Stellar Bay before we had to move our walls in, these days it's overrun with marauders and raptidons. Do be careful. I've lost more than a few people to marauders and raptidons out there. Oh, and while you're at it, there should be a terminal in the arms building with some dangerous information. Perhaps you could delete it so it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. What can I do for you? Hiram? Why, he's probably still out at Devil's Peak. Not that he's had the courtesy to notify me, at any rate. You'd head south along the road and look for a mountain to the west. Not that I'd advise it. It's a terribly dangerous trek. But I see you've met Nyoka. Anyone can get you there safely, it's her.
He just wants me out of his bar.
But that's terrible. What happened? But that means we won't be able to log their testimonies. If there's one thing I've been hoping to re-establish in Stellar Bay, it's proper documentation for legal matters. Celia, I do hope you're taking notes. I've got to remember some of these quips.
Indeed, sir.
Still, your intervention in the matter is much appreciated. Please consider this payment for your services. Then it's good that I keep such meticulous notes. I've asked myself the same thing many times, especially seeing as the legal mechanisms we employed were part of the board's own bylaws. Not intentionally, though that's technically true. For many years, this planet was home to as many corporations as Terra 2. Back then, it was known as Terra 1. As you may have noticed, this planet has more than its share of hazards.
That ain't fair. They didn't leave on account of the hazards. They left on account of their cowardice. The hazards just gave them a reason to put to paper.
Sharp as ever, Nyoka. And as the other corporations began to tally their losses, they decided to pull out. MSI's leadership at the time certainly thought so. But there were others of us who saw an opportunity. The chance to improve working hours and conditions, to reform MSI from the ground up. Nonsense! They're good business sense. Exhausted, sick, and malnourished workers are not productive workers. Even a cursory review of the data bears that out.
I hope you'd treat them nice, whether it was good business or not, Mr. Sanjar. That's what being a community means. Treating people right, because it's the right thing to do.
Hear, hear. That may not be the way the colony works, but it damn well oughta.
A noble thought, Miss Holcomb. Unfortunately, noble thoughts rarely sway board policy. Anyway, we learned of a loophole in the corporate bylaws that would allow MSI to claim ownership of the entire planet once the other corporations pulled out, creating the perfect environment for us to enact these new reforms. That's what I thought. But the senior executives laughed in our faces and insisted we'd be relocating to Terra 2 along with everyone else. In a manner of speaking, many of us stayed behind, in an act of quiet but firm defiance. As the most senior executive remaining, I ended up in charge of what was left of MSI. I moved forward with our planned reforms, as well as our strategy to assume ownership of the planet. Yet not long after I renamed it Monarch, the other corporations dislodged us from the board and began an official campaign to paint us as lawless savages. I don't think I realized how far they'd stoop. Everything we did was legal and above board. We followed their rules, and yet they still found reasons to declare us outlaws. I do think there's something useful in a governing body like the board. Something that keeps us from anarchy, but I dearly wish it functioned differently. Why wouldn't anyone? They own nearly all the resources and infrastructure in Halcyon.
Yeah, That'd go a long way toward rebuilding our homes.
To be on the board is to be part of the colonial community. And being cut off means slow strangulation. I'm not a man to put pride before progress. If membership on the board can ease our hardships and provide us with opportunities, then that's the path I mean to pursue. Besides, I'm hopeful that additional leverage on our part will allow us a more equitable relationship. I've discovered it's much easier to negotiate from a position of power. And I don't mean to leave MSI or its people at a disadvantage. My hope is to maintain the reforms we've managed here, and who knows? Perhaps once we're restored, we could spread them to other corporations.
It's straight bullshit is what it is. A fabrication rich folks use to preserve their investments by leaving a lot of people here to die slow.
Nyoka has the right of it. It's a legal provision that gives the board the authority to cordon off any planet or location that it deems dangerous.
But wait, what happens to the folks stuck on the wrong side of dangerous?
I'm afraid the welfare of a few hundred people is too minor a figure into the board's risk assessments. Yes, making all of MSI criminals in the board's eyes. Rather hard to run a business that way. What can I do for you? I see. And was his delivery of the MSI authorized greeting up to snuff? Well, that's excellent. I'll see that your feedback makes it into his review. What else can I do for you?
Join me for a second, will you?